pass this off to Shary Farr.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here today. I think the first time I came to this hotel was when my husband was running for the assembly, which was many, many years ago. And I remember that I had not had much political experience in my life, and after he had his first fundraiser here, we went back to Monterey, and I remember his headquarters called me one day and asked if I would come down and help at the headquarters with precinct walking, and I was never too sure exactly what precinct walking was. But I got my list, and I started out walking late in the afternoon, and I went up to my first door, and I said, "Hi, I'm Shary, and I'm a street walker for Farr." So I like to know that I've come a long way since then. I want to thank you so much for inviting me here today. Carmel, it's truly a joy to be part of this group. For 30 years, I have been working mostly with women to help them prepare for aging, illness, and death. I've done a lot of end-of-life work. I've done a lot of long-term care work, mostly for women. And the one thing that keeps coming back to me, especially for women, is that how unempowered women feel around money. Even those that have inherited money, they seem to have a mental poverty. Those that are alone in the world, whether they're elderly or not, are terrified of having a future for which they cannot pay for. So I realize that money and women seems to be an issue, and almost whether or not they have it. And so I am especially delighted to be here today to help unlock the opportunity for women in this room to partner with women throughout the world. And as I said, for 30 years, that has been my experience, and I kept thinking, if women in the United States of America who have every opportunity in the world are feeling disempowered about their future, then what is it like for women in third world countries? I realize now that women everywhere share a sense of despair and powerlessness when they do not have financial control or understanding over their destiny. And I realize for myself, having provided this service for 30 years, the one thing that has finally given me a sense of confidence like nothing else has is to have turned what was a service, it was always easy to be nice, into a business where I could become a whole person. And that I did this last April. And so I took being a financial, a sort of a life planning person, resource consultant, to being president and founder of Partners for Transitions. And the difference is incredible. As I had this experience with women here in the United States, as I said, I started to think about what about women in other countries? And my deepest sorrow was going to the grandparents, especially in Africa, the grandmothers, who had lost their daughters and son-in-laws to AIDS and were having to raise their own grandchildren. Now in Africa, if you owned property, when you died, it usually went to somebody else, and those grandparents were wanting to protect whatever assets they had for their grandchildren. I think about mothers and fathers whose children have died of AIDS, and I kept thinking, how does this huge issue of poverty, how is there some kind of inroad so that women especially can be empowered and have futures that they can look forward to? How can people in poverty possibly be helped? And then I met Carmel Judd, and I learned about Rising International, and I then had a new understanding of what Barack Obama called the audacity of hope. So when I look at this basket and all the crafts that all of you have on your tables, this basket, before it was a basket, started as a concept of hope, belief, and rightful empowerment. The woman that made it, Josephine, felt that she had the right to make it. She just needed the wherewithal. In time, it has become a symbol of accomplishment, knowingness, confidence, and unstoppable entrepreneurship. Blah, 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 blah. So it's big words that get me. Rising International is the gift that keeps on giving. To women in Rwanda and India and Nepal and Afghanistan and Guatemala, Peru, Uganda, South Africa, Colombia, Kenya, and Malaysia. And to the sisters in the United States, to all the sisters that are here today. It is not just about buying the handcrafts and the goods that you see on your table. It is also about creating an appreciation and a relationship with the artisans themselves, like Josephine. In some sense, we are all Josephines. The empowerment of Josephine is the empowerment of us all, in our homes, in our villages, and in our world. This is about mutual entrepreneurship, mutual support, and I like to think mutual love. It has often been said that there is nothing like the wrath of a woman scorned. Well, I want you to know that there's nothing more powerful than a woman empowered. It will change the world for generations to come. And so this, I think, is the Rising International is the ultimate of doing well while doing good. And lastly, as my husband would say, and I never agreed with him, but he always says, get political. We need to be political. Not apolitical, not necessarily partisan political, but political in the sense that Gandhi once said. Politics is more than going to the polls every 2 years and choosing somebody else to go solve your problems for you. Each of you is a politician by the way you treat the person next to you, next door, across town, across our nation, and around the world. Together, we will choose how things will be. Please join me. I'm going to, with my sister-in-law, be sponsoring a party in the spring and help us keep Rising International rising, rising, and rising. Thank you.